back where we left off in the last video in Horton, just outside Devizes, at this Type 28A anti-tank emplacement. What I failed to notice on the last video was the brass plaque screwed on the side here, in memory of Albert McKinnon, Ron Noyes and Billy Stevens, who manned this blockhouse, as they call it, during the Home Guard service in 1941 to 1945. A real poignant reminder of the bravery of those guys. I know they were never had to face action, but if they did, then their chances of survival on one of these things was pretty slim. So today we're going to be exploring more of the Blue Stock line, walking east from Horton towards Alton Barnes. Let's go and see what we can find. About a kilometre and a half from the last location, bridge that crosses the canal here. So there were some anti-tank cylinders here at one time to effectively block this bridge. There's no evidence of them anymore. However, what there is in the field over there in the distance is a Type 22 pillbox. It's right in the middle of the ploughed field, and it's still pretty wet at the minute, so I'm going to pop the drone up and have a look at that one. From the aerial footage there, that actually looks, as I've said before in these videos, they're looking remarkably good condition. And you know, right in the middle of the farmer's field, so he's obviously looked after it. You can see where he played around it. Be great to turn it into a bat sanctuary. A little bit of work by a conservationist group, no cost to the farmer, and yeah, work in progress. We just come a few hundred yards off the canal up the road, tucked behind the hedge is this Type 22 shell-proof pillbox. Let's have a look around the other side. Entrance is round there. Yeah, so let's have a look inside. The old legs won't bend that far, but it's actually been, as you can see, been filled up here probably a couple of feet. So instead of walking, it's crawling. Little point of interest. Nice little bird's nest there. So those small slots were the pistol slots to protect the door. In the field, on the opposite side of the canal, there's that Type 22 pillbox in the middle of the farmer's field there. There's only one way to look at this one. We're going to have to put the drone up. It's the best way to view them from the air, certainly when you can't swim across the canal. So we're going to move on now, see what else we can find. About 500 yards down the canal path from the last one, next canal bridge. Evidence of the anti-tank vertical rails. You can see these holes here, here and there, all the way through. So what they did, they put vertical steel rail in there to block the bridge, and maybe, like to think so anyway, they've made reuse of one of the steel rails there. So I'm pretty confident that's one of the rails that would have sat in these holes. Brilliant. So I walked away from the towpath and we're walking up the White Horse Trail public footpath, which actually takes us right through the heart, the centre of what was Alton Barnes Airfield. We'll spin around. You can see there's no real evidence here because it was all grass strips anyway. I'll put the drone up and fly around and see what we can see from here. you can see from the air, not much to see apart from a big rapeseed field now, and it's horrendously windy today as well. The drone didn't like it too much, but it's back down safely. We're just going to walk up to the top road now. There's 3 pillboxes up here that were part of the airfield defence system, so we're going to take a look at those. So walked up to what was the north end of the airfield by the main road, and this is the first pillbox here. There's 3 pretty close to each other, one over there and one a bit farther down the road. This one, there's no type designation for these pillboxes, they were just part of the airfield defence system. But you can see it's pretty well been built up this side with the soil, and looking down inside, usual rubbish in there. There's an old mattress and stuff, but you know, apart from that, it's pretty good condition. You can just about see the loop firing holes there. I think that was the pistol slot to protect the entrance. Walking around this side, you can just see one of the loopholes there. Let's have a look at the others. So about 25-30 metres from that pillbox we just looked at, in between the next 2 pillboxes there and there, there's what remains of, it's called on the database I use, there's a battlefield headquarters. If you're ever up this way, be very careful, because there's just a big hole there which would be easy to fall down, and the farmers obviously put this metal red metal grid over it to protect it, to stop people falling down a hole, which wouldn't be good. You can see some evidence there. There's some of the old lead cable here that was used on the airfield. This is lead cable of some sort, and you can just about see down inside there. It's been backfilled with rubbish. There are some pictures inside on the EDOB database. I'll put a link in the description below. There are some pictures on there that hopefully I can pick out, and I can give you a better look at that one. And again, I'll put some 3 words locations for you. But again, be very careful. It's just a big hole, very easy to break your leg. Let's move on. Carried on the footpath down a White Horse Way, and behind me, over my shoulder, you can see what is a Type 28A anti-tank gun position. Unfortunately, I can't get into the field as it's privately owned, obviously. You can see it's fenced off with electric fences, and there's horses there, etc. So I can't put the drone up, otherwise it would be frightening the animals. You can see the firing position there, so it's protecting back out across this bridge, across the canal. A tank killing zone. So we've come pretty much full circle from where we were earlier on. We're back on the canal bridge where we looked at the vertical rail anti-tank defences, and hopefully what is the vertical rail there, or one of the vertical rails that was used. We managed to cross over onto the northern side of the canal, and here is the remains of another bunker, one of the ones used to protect the airfield. No particular designation of type. Not particularly good condition, but not bad for 80 odd years old. So located midway between the bunker we just looked at and the bunker just over there we're going to look at is this light anti-aircraft position, gun position. Let's say that lies between the bunker we've looked at over there and the bunker that's in the distance there we're going to go to in a minute. This all form part of the airfield protection. So the final bunker we're looking at now, on the southern end of the airfield. First one we looked at is up there, the anti-aircraft gun emplacement in the middle there, and this final bunker here. Moving on. About 100 yards down from the bridge that crosses over the canal there in Honey Street, I walked into the overflow car park for the Honey Street Cafe. And here is the original air raid shelter, and it has a plaque above the door. So it's a memorial dedicated to those who lost their lives whilst training here, and you can read it there for yourselves. And some would I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth, put out my hand and touched the face of God. Very moving. So this is the Link Trainer building here. And this housed one of the very early flight simulators. For its day, a very sophisticated flight simulator, and it was used by the pilots to train for instrument flying. Again, I'll put some links in the description with some more details for you to read yourselves. Going to walk back to the canal bridge. I'm going to head east down the canal. What I understand is about 400 yards, 400 metres. We're going to try and find the monument that is there that's dedicated to 2 airmen that were killed when the Albemarle bomber crashed. It was towing a glider and took off from Keyville Airfield. We're going to try and find that. That'll be our last discovery of the day. Well, let's go. Well, I think we found it. Here's the sign. 2 Memorial. We reached the next canal bridge, and probably about 50 yards from where the memorial is for the Albemarle crash. So on this bridge here, there are 2 dragon's teeth, as they called them, anti-tank cylinders. And there is a steel rail. One of the steel rails, I'm pretty confident again, that's one of the steel rails that was used to slot into these anti-tank vertical steel rail positions here. Here. So this whole bridge blocked off with vertical steel rails and the dragon's teeth. And protecting the bridge on the opposite side is a pillbox there. Let's have a look around the other side where the entrance is. We might be able to get inside. And then on the other hand we might not be able to, so it's actually gated off and padlocked, which I firmly believe pretty much all of these relics should be, just stop people getting in there and dumping their rubbish. But you can see here this small opening here was in fact for a pistol slot. So when you're inside and someone's trying to get in the door, you can shoot them through the slot. Well, let's go find that memorial. Finally reached the memorial. So the Albemarle bomber was towing a glider, and it took off on the 25th of October 1944 from Keyville Airfield, some 20 miles away. It come through the Vale of Pusey, and in low cloud the glider pilot lost sight of the Albemarle and it actually overtook it in the air. What happened then was the tow rope caught the Albemarle tailplane and dragged it to the ground. And the crash unfortunately killed both of the pilots. But fortunately for the glider, the tow rope snapped, and the glider pilot managed to land the glider safely. As I say, unfortunately, the 2 pilots were killed, and this is their memorial. The Flight Sergeant Thomas C. Newton, RAF VR, there's a pilot. Sergeant John A.C. Wilson, RAF VR, wireless operator air gunner, who lost their lives when the Albemarle bomber V-1755 of number 22 HGCU, RAF Keyville, crashed near here on the 25th of October 1944. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them. Yeah, very, very moving. So that's the end of this Walking Wild walk today. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.